Okay, welcome back to my Friday in progress. It's December 31st, New Year's Eve, almost Eve, still late afternoon. I'm going to take the little NAVI out for a little ride impression video. Take it out to my usual stomping ground, the park over there, and we'll try to do a couple of top speed runs. See what we get. I got cameras all over the place. One looking at me, one looking at the speedo with 12.9 miles on it, and I got a 360 over here. See what I can capture with that. Have some fun. So let's go. Let's get this on the road. I've got a dinner that I'm going to tonight, so I can't dawdle too much. Won't have time to edit this video until tomorrow morning probably. So a little bit earlier I did my kind of walk around and cold startup procedure for the bike, and I pointed out a few problems that it has, at least mine has, as far as the fueling and cold start issues, low idle, that sort of thing. So there's a couple things that need to be updated and resolved on this. It might just be a carburetor mixture setting that's a little off on this one, who knows. But otherwise, I mean, I don't want to start this off on a negative note. This is a super fun little bike to ride. My son took it around, rode it for a couple miles, and he came back and he was like, oh my god, that thing is so smooth, it's awesome, it handles great, it's really nice. So there we are. I'm full tilt accelerating here. It's doing okay, 35. Again, it's still a new motor. I don't want to beat it up too badly, but I will do a top speed run. And temperature, I forgot to take a little snapshot of the weather forecast here, but it's about 83, 84 degrees today, very humid, and it's windy. So when I get out here on this park road, things might not be so ideal for a top speed run, but we'll find out. My biggest immediate complaint, concern with the NAVI is the very flickery headlight and tail light on it. If you're not sitting here with your brake covered to engage the tail light or the brake light on the thing, the running light tail light portion is very dim. It flickers on and off with the engine speed. You gonna stop? So at idle it's very weak, and I'm concerned about visibility in traffic. So if you just come to a stop and you're sitting there not doing anything, and you don't have your hand on that brake lever or your foot on the pedal, it might make you a little invisible at a stoplight. So I might do some kind of a bypass to connect the headlights and tail light portion directly to battery whenever it's switched on with the ignition. So we'll see. Other than that, I do plan on putting LED headlight and tail light in there right away, and I'll also search for some LED turn signal bulbs and solid state flasher, electronic flasher, because the mechanical one in here won't work with LEDs, I'm quite sure. Seating position is really good on this. It's different than most scooters, even different than most little mini motos. Your knees are very much forward, and your leg bend is not even 90 degrees for me. It's further out than that, because the controls are kind of forward mounted. See if this camera over here can catch it. It's forward. Most bikes you would have your feet kind of back here. The one thing that I do notice is the rear passenger pegs are kind of sort of in the way of your feet if you got big feet. I'm constantly rubbing my calf into it when I put my legs down at a stop and things like that. And those are not removable. From what I can tell behind the plastic here, the passenger pegs are welded onto the frame, so not even removable. If you take a spill and bend them up, you're just going to have to bend them back, because it doesn't look like it's a removable subframe or rear trellis of any kind. But that's okay. The combined braking on this is a little strange. I may delete mine. Whenever you're pushing down on the rear brake pedal, it also activates the front brake, so it makes the front lever really loose and squishy feeling. It's strange. And then the front brake by itself is pretty squishy no matter what. It's cable activated, and this is front and rear drum, so you've got to crank into them pretty hard to stop. I think I mentioned that in my live video that I did. It was on Discord, so that wasn't recorded or anything. When I was running around in the parking lot at the dealer, you really got to mash these brakes, and it might break in a little bit. The drums might get better, you know, as they break in. I'm not sure, but we'll see. And it is windy. The little Navi is getting pushed side to side. I can feel it. I don't notice it much on the Trail Cub or the Super Cub, not as much as this. This one I'm feeling it kind of wiggling around in the wind. But I'm doing 45 here, and I don't have the throttle full open. I'm about, I don't know, 85%. I'm going into the wind though. It's a pull. You can see the flags ahead of me here. They are just ripping. A pretty stout wind here. It's about, you know, I'm guessing at least 20 miles an hour. And I'm getting pushed sideways. It tracks back on real easy. It's not taking a lot of effort to keep it going in a straight line, but it is teetering, you know, weeble wobbling. Probably the small tires, you know, the 10-inch rear, 12-inch front. Trying to keep a light touch on the bars because it's very flickable. It doesn't take a lot of bar pressure to wiggle this thing around. So the foot peg position on it's pretty comfy actually. I like it. It's not forward cruiser style. It's not quite scooter style. I mean, they're proper foot pegs. It's not running boards or anything, and they work. I like it. It's a good seating position, and the seat is, you know, pretty roomy. You can scoot way back here. If you're a tall guy, you could really hang it back. I'm just right in kind of the bottom part of the cup, the rider's portion of the seat, not even really butting up against that rise for the passenger. And the rise in the seat is real subtle. It's not a big step up like some of the older PCXs and things like that, where they kind of dug into your tailbone. It's windy, man. I'm getting blown around. On the way back, it might be a little better, but it's coming from the side, and I'm wide open right now, and I'm only pulling 47. You guys can see that. I got the dedicated camera for the speedo today, and hopefully the GPSs are working on the GoPros, so we'll have some data. I'll go down the road over here and flip a U and come back, because then I'll be going with the wind, and that should make a really spectacular acceleration run. It's always windy out here in the park. So my fuel gauge, you can see in the other camera, and you can see now I'm looking at it, it's down about a quarter, a little over a quarter. I don't know how accurate it is or what the weighting on it is. You know, I don't know if it goes pretty much empty in the first half or what it does, so we'll see. And the fact that this is carbureted, it has the fuel petcock where you've got to flip over to reserve when it gets low or starts sputtering or whatever. Of course, you never want that to happen in traffic, but it does. It's just the nature of the game. All right, wide open run against the wind here. Still pulling pretty good up to 40. Into 18 or 20 mile an hour headwind. It's not bad. This is just a 110cc, little air cooled, 9.5 to 1 compression, I think. I don't know how many horsepower it has. I don't know the torque figures, all that. I'll try to throw that up here on the screen. I think it's 8 horsepower. It's about the same as the Super Cub, a little less. Maybe 6.8. Maybe that's what I remember seeing. I don't know. Yeah, so it's still wide open into the wind here. Probably turn around here so I don't have to deal with traffic down there in that big intersection. I was reaching for a shift lever. Thought I was on the Super Cub there for a minute. It's quite torquey off the line. It accelerates pretty good from a stop. If you crank the throttle open, it moves all right, which is good for keeping up with the crazy cagers in traffic so they don't run you over at stoplights. There we go, wide open. An upgraded variator would fix that bogging out right there. Or sliders or different rollers, whatever. But I'm going with the wind here. Woo, getting right up to 45. Oh, he might get 50. I'm sure this will get a little bit quicker as it loosens up, puts a few miles on it. Oh, here's 53, 54 indicated. Oh, can he get 55 before he's got to nail these drum brakes? Okay, that's good enough. So that's a pretty hard stop right there on the brakes. They do okay. You're not going to win any stoppy awards, that's for sure. So yeah, in my video that I posted just earlier today, I did this morning, there's some upgrades that are going to happen to this right away. You know, the LED signals, headlight, tail light, of course. Then there's going to be a different exhaust in this thing's future. The factory exhaust on here, I don't mind how quiet it is, or you know, the sound. That's totally immaterial. I couldn't care less about that. What I do not like is the width of it. It sticks out further than the foot pegs do on the little scrape shield over here, or whatever, your outer exhaust shield. So it's very wide from the rear, and I'm sure that an aftermarket exhaust is going to be narrower and sound better and all that, probably a little bit lighter, maybe a couple pounds, who knows. And the fact that this one is running rich on the air fuel mixture, if that's, you know, adjustable on the carburetor, I would assume that it is. If you put a free flow exhaust and or intake on here, it's going to alter that and maybe give the engine a little bit more power and be able to take advantage of that fuel. So I may not have to do any adjustments on the air fuel mixture if I can uncork the intake and exhaust a little bit. We'll see. So I've been doing my research, trying to figure out what other scooters this engine was used in, and we know that it was from the Activa 110 in India, but I'm not sure about what other scoots. Somebody had mentioned the Scoopy, and there were a few others that had been mentioned in the discussions, but from what I can figure, a lot of those are 125s, and even the smaller displacement ones, the 110s, were fuel injected. Well, this isn't fuel injected, so it means it's a different animal. I'll give you a look at it while we're over here in the park. Try to do my usual routine. A little cloudy today, but okay. So of course, put the side stand down and it kills it, typical scooter fashion. And again, when you kill the ignition, no headlight, no tail light. It's different from most bikes in the USA. Normally, you don't have headlight before you start the engine, but you do have tail light. And then even after you kill the motor, as long as you didn't turn the key off, the headlight will stay on. It's a one-way latching solid-state relay. But anyway, we'll get into that later. I will take a picture while I'm here. Why not? Kind of dim and dismal looking out here, and I think my phone battery is about cooked. Take a picture with all the camera gear on there. People are like, what? What do we got? You can hear the shooting range right behind me. Looks pretty good. I like that, the look of this bike. It's okay. I was a little taken aback or put off at the the small rear wheel. In the pictures it looks really tiny, it looks disproportionate, but when you're standing here next to it, it's not bad. I mean, I think it would look better if it were a 12-inch rear wheel instead of a 10, but yeah, it's okay. Definitely helps with you know, squirting around town. A little bit more nimble, I'm sure, with that small rear wheel. I need to upgrade my quad lock mount on here. I'm just using the stem mount here. Can't see what I'm doing. Yeah, that's it. I'm going to put the anti-vibration mount on there. I'll use my Ram ball mounts that I've got the cameras on right now, and put one of my charging bases on there for the quad lock. Need to run a couple of USBs through the body plastics right over here to the battery that's under the seat, and put a little windscreen on it. Not a big one, just something small. Get a little bit of chest pressure reduction from fire-breathing beast. I think the biggest things that need to be addressed on it are the dim lighting, LED lights for sure, and if I can figure out the accessory line bypass, whatever, to where whenever the ignition is clicked on, the headlight and tail light are on. That way they're not flickering and running off of the generator output. Generator, stator, alternator, I don't know what the proper term for this bike would be, but typically it's your stator. Stator generates it, rectifier rectifies it, charges the battery, and everything goes from there. I don't know if you can see me getting boxed by the wind here. It gets pushed around a bit. I guess it's got enough surface area, more so than some other bikes, probably even more than the PCX if I think about it, because it's not as aerodynamic as the PCX, and this big box over here creates a lot of surface area to push on by the wind. I think I'll take that box off of there just to see how it looks without it. I've seen pictures, but I want to see it in person. I don't know about anything else that would fit in there better, other than maybe just a dry bag, you know, a vinyl waterproof roll bag, something like that. It would be okay. Nick, Fatty with a Firearm, left a comment. He said you could fit a Yorkie in there, or Yorkshire Terrier. Sure you could. I don't know if the dog would appreciate that. But you might be able to fashion up a small dog carrier for down there. That could be cool. Just want to get enough of a forward protection, you know, that rocks and tire overspray and stuff like that doesn't get your pooch. Okay, here we go. Wide open. Oh, it's wide open. 30. Come on. Come on. Keep going. That's definitely faster than my C3. You know, that's just a little 50cc scooter. So this 110 has definitely got more giddy up and go. I'm interested to find out what the fuel economy is going to look like. If mine is running rich, then that doesn't help the fuel economy game. But Honda is estimating it at around 110, so that's good. .47, 48 indicated, and I am wide open still. Yeah, I can feel that. The wind, surface area pushing on this thing. Still wide open. I'm going to back out a little bit. Still a new motor. So that's going to be a fun little runabout. My wife liked it. She doesn't like scooters, and she doesn't particularly like this color, but she was impressed with the ride. She and I and my toddler did a 3-up ride on this right after I brought it home. Piled on here. I had my toddler sitting up here in front of me holding onto the cross brace, and helmet on her, of course. And my wife was on the back, and we just puttered around the neighborhoods for about 10 miles. Had a good time. I didn't have my cameras on me, so we had my wife's phone up here and we recorded a little video, but it wasn't really useful for anything other than our memories. Not good enough to share. The ride quality on this thing is quite good. That's something that we were impressed with on our little family trio ride. We had this thing loaded to capacity, probably 340 pounds. The rear suspension was not bottoming out. It was actually doing quite well. I was surprised at that. I thought that we would just be collapsing that suspension down to the bump stop, but it rode really well. It was comfortable, compliant. You know, it was feeling a little squishy with all the weight on it. You know, probably need to raise the tire pressures a little bit for that much cargo, but yeah, it did well. The ride was very compliant. I was surprised, and even now, you know, the ride on this is light years better than my little C3, and they've both got about the same suspension travel. I think the front wheel on this might be a little bit larger than on my C3, but both the front and rear are pretty rough on that little bike. And most small scooters, you know, even Ruckus and some of the ones that I've ridden, it's jarring, you know, at best. It's not a great ride, especially when you get over potholes and stuff. This one, I'm not noticing it that much. It's surprisingly good. Surprisingly good. I mean, big bumps, yeah, it's gonna be kind of sharp, but I am very impressed with the cushiness of this ride for only having, you know, less than 3 inches of travel. And it's 275 or something like that. I'll throw the specs up here. So there was a big bump, and that didn't hurt at all. That's a big pothole I just ran over. It didn't hurt. Hell, even on my Super Cub, that hurts. I try to miss that one. Ugh, there's another one. It's not bad. The suspension on this is quite good for a absolute low budget, bottom dollar kind of bike. I like it. Now Honda obviously cut corners, you know, to keep that price point as low as they've got it. So that's not to say that it's got premium componentry. That would be stretching the truth a little. I'm trying to get used to these brakes. It's weird. CBS is strange. CBS hydraulic, probably wouldn't notice that so much, but mechanical CBS like that, you really feel differences in the lever. So if you step on the pedal over here for the rear brake, before you grab the front is all floppy because it's already being pulled in by the rear brake. It's weird. Very strange sensation. So I don't know if I mentioned that when I first set out, but I'm probably going to do a CBS delete on this thing. I'll convert the two cam arms on the brakes up here, front and rear, for just standard cam arms, and get rid of the double cable arrangement. And there's some linkage here somewhere, probably up on the frame for the rear pedal. So it's got another cable that's going forward, so I would just disconnect that guy. The other upgrade I'm likely going to do, hey, that light's green, let's go. Yeah. Oh, can they accelerate and make it? Yeah. The other upgrade that I'm going to do to this is I'm going to convert it to a left handbrake for the rear brake. Scooters traditionally have, you know, your left lever over here is the rear brake. So if I can figure out a way to sort the cabling and the linkages and all that, I'll have, you know, a pedal over here, I'll leave that intact, and a handbrake over here. And what I'll do is I'll replace this entire perch with the one from the ADV 150 scooter, because it has a left handbrake for the rear brake and a built-in lock lever, just like this one does. So you squeeze and you pull the overlock. I'll show a little clip of that from Kevin's scooter that I picked up. This is a much better arrangement, and I might be tempted to buy this perch and put it on that, because that's absolute genius. I love it. And whatever you adjust here is the same as your standard rear brake adjuster. You can adjust the tension on that thing from right there. So with that, it would convert this thing to just a normal brake on the rear left side. And I think the reason that Honda did that is they wanted people to think this is more of a motorcycle, and they're maybe trying to get people into that mindset of you know, don't be reaching over here for brakes. That's not a brake. That's normally a clutch on a standard motorcycle. So maybe that's the thinking. I'm not sure. But considering this is a scooter powertrain and I've been riding all this for pretty much my entire life, I'm reaching over here for a brake. It's just second nature. And mentally, I don't have a problem going back and forth from scooter to motorcycle. Just I've been riding for so long, it's burned into me. But the parking brake here pulls on the rear brake cam arm just like the pedal cable does. So it's not like it's a separate brake shoe or anything. It's using the primary brake built into the rear hub. Yeah, going over these bumps, this thing rides really well. I think this is going to be a fantastic little runaround for delivery people, people doing DoorDash and stuff like that. It's going to work out quite nice. This neighborhood I'm going to turn into, because this is where I was riding with my wife and my daughter yesterday. We rode all around through here, and all around my neighborhood. Let's go this way. So, yeah, for delivery people, I think it'll be great. The only thing that might detract from that a little bit is the fact that it's carbureted. If it were fuel injected, this would just be an ideal little runaround machine, kind of like the little Zoomer 110 that they've got down in Mexico and other parts of the world. It looks like a butched up, beefed up ruckus. It's got inverted front forks like a Grom and fuel injected 110 motor. I was hoping that we would get that here in the States, considering they already build them and sell them in Mexico. I don't know why it would be a problem to bring it here. We got this one from Mexico, so come on. So as a runaround for a college student, or you know, even a high school student, deliveries, just bashing around town doing grocery runs, whatever, I think this would be a great ride. Be a good fit. But the fuel economy numbers and overall convenience, as I get used to it, that will tell the tale. I'm not really sure how it's gonna work out. We'll see as the miles accrue. Big gusts of wind push this thing around. Oh, I forgot to mention, I adjusted the handlebar angle on this thing because when I was first riding it, first couple miles I did around the neighborhood, the bars were very much forward. So I don't know if that was the guy setting it up there at the shop or if that's how it came out of the crate. Maybe I'll go back on my video and see if I can find a shot of it from the side in that live stream and figure out the angle on the bars. But essentially, if we were to look at it from the side, the bars were canted forward like this. They were really far forward, so it was making the steering feel pretty funny. And every time you go over a bump, your body English would, you know, throw the bike everywhere, and it would be real tippy. Didn't like it. So I brought them back about, oh, I don't know, maybe an inch from where they were as far as the, you know, at the top edge of the bars here. So I don't know how many degrees that would work out to, but I brought them back about an inch to where now the uprights of the bars are almost directly parallel or in line with the fork legs. So it feels a little better now. But the wind still blows you around no matter what. It's a lot of surface area here. It's a lot of surface area and little bitty wheels. But as a runaround, man, this thing, it's zippy. It's got real nimble cornering and handling, and I haven't gotten into trying to do low speed S's and stuff with it yet, but I'm sure it's not going to be a problem. Be like any other scooter, you just ride the brake, you know, kind of drag the rear brake a little bit and maintain power. So whee! So I was replying to comments and interacting with people on the live stream yesterday, and Sam Zaker, I believe, is how to say his name. Sam has got a bunch of bikes. He's got a Super Cub, and he was replying back to me last night saying, I know you can't leave it alone, so what are your first mods? So yeah, I replied back, yes, I know it's an addiction. I need to attend my AA meeting. Accessorizers Anonymous. LED lights, yeah, first and foremost. Hey, we're going around this world to my left. LED lights, front, rear, turn signals. I will add the windscreen and the rear carrier for this probably right away, just to add a little bit more function and utility. And I've got another long list of upgrades, you know, mechanicals and minor little electrical bits and stuff like that. But all in all, I think this is a pretty good bargain for right around $2,600 out the door. I did have one person reply back to me on the video from yesterday saying that they just got theirs in Missouri, I think it was, and theirs was like a little over 2,000 out the door. Maybe it was 2,300, something like that. So they got a little bit better deal than I did, but yeah, I'm not really gonna fret too much over $200 or $300. It's not that big of a deal. Yes, percentage wise, that's a high percentage of the MSRP of the bike, but overall, you know, $200 or $300 across the span of owning a bike for a few years, it's nothing, man. It's hamburger money. So I won't get into the lowball nickel and diming game and that whole discussion again. I don't want to preach. I don't mind paying a couple hundred extra dollars. You know, if it's $500 or $1,000 extra or whatever above what other dealers are charging, and you know, obviously gouging, then yeah, that's an issue, and I wouldn't buy from them. That was happening a lot with the CT125 and even the Super Cubs for a while. The dealers were cranking the prices up like $1,500 and then still adding state taxes and fees. That's not very nice. Anyway, so first ride on the Navi. The fuel has dropped down to just a little over half, and I'm at 27 miles, so I don't think that gauge is very linear, but we'll find out. I'll keep putting miles on it, and we'll see how it goes. So thanks for tagging along, and let's see if I can not get my cameras wet as I pull in the driveway. Catch y'all later.